Welcome to the Mount Pleasant podcast, featuring discussions and interviews about the people, places, and events that make Mount Pleasant such a special place.
This is the Mount Pleasant podcast. I'm your host, Brian Cleary, and all thanks to the great people of Mount Pleasant Magazine, I get the honor and the privilege of introducing you to Mount Pleasant, the people who make it such a special place to do business, to work, and even to live. We're introducing you to Mount Pleasant's best on the Mount Pleasant podcast. There's a Lowcountry nonprofit, an outstanding organization that is helping folks with PTSD and TBI, one you may not know a lot about. So we want to bring you up to date and make you familiar with Hoofprints in the Sand on this edition of the Mount Pleasant podcast. I'm joined by both the founder and director of Hoofprints in the Sand, Sarah Lustig. Now, Sarah, the exciting news for maybe somebody who's familiar with Hoofprints in the Sand, you've now got Club HITS. So what's the new club at Hoofprints in the Sand all about?
The club offers a naturalistic experiential healing equine facility program where we offer two different levels. The first level is recreational activities and therapeutic healing programs that involve observing the herd, but mainly really enjoying this property, 18 acres, at their leisure. And there are many activities we can get into. Level 2 includes all of level 1 activities, plus you are introduced to equine-assisted therapy, horsemanship, husbandry, and working natural horsemanship skills with the horses, directly with the horses, one-on-one.
So when I look at that, and I understand about Hoofprints in the Sand, maybe everybody doesn't, but when you talk about things like the level of memberships and the peacefulness of the farm and the horses and things like that, how does that pertain to, I guess, mental well-being for somebody with PTSD?
We offer veterans and first responders treatment, care, delivery service for PTSD, which is a mental trauma. And when you're in the military, you suffer all types of trauma, sights, smells, atrocities that human brains are not meant to endure. So the PTSD manifests with disruptions in activities of daily living. Then there's a traumatic brain injury piece where you can have physical trauma to the brain or post-concussive sequela from like explosives. And so you might have irritability, outbursts, dizziness, syncope, feelings of headaches, fatigue, decreased motivation, concentration, attention. And so our program is designed to use evidence-based therapies to target both the mental aspect of the consequence of PTSD and also traumatic brain injury.
Now, it's not just veterans, although I think a lot of people associate PTSD with veterans, but it's not just veterans that are dealing with this, but you've created this specifically for veterans. Why did you feel the need to do that? Because
our veterans serve our country and they protect our rights and they fought hard, whether you're, in any department, active or inactive, they're faced with a very structured military life. When they're discharged and they're back into their community, it's very hard to transition and regain, rebuild, and reconnect in a meaningful way because of the manifestations of trauma that affect your thinking, your feelings, and your actions. And so by this program, I really am passionate about giving back to our veterans. They fought for us, and now we're going to fight for them to get back to the baseline of who they once were, that help them be productive and happy and have loving connections again. To
that, Norma Jean joining the conversation with us here on the Mount Pleasant podcast. I'm Brian Cleary. I'm talking today with Sarah Lustig, who is the director, the founder of Hoofprints in the Sand. They've created a new part of Hoofprints in the Sand, which is Club HITS. Now, Sarah, in terms of the club itself, can you share some parts about it, the mission, the purpose? You've talked a little bit about the reason for that, maybe the inspiration of what Club HITS will be.
So the mission is to provide a safe haven, an environment of 18 acres inside the Francis Marion National Forest. We're surrounded by thousands of acres of trails. Well, also, our property includes a pond. It includes gardening, agriculture, animals, observing wildlife. We have walking trails, biking trails, hiking trails, camping, barbecue pits, fire pits. We have a billiards room. We have a really safe place for our veterans and first responders who fight to protect us. Their effects from that trauma interrupts their daily life. And we want this to become their safe place to be with colleagues and comrades, to overcome any symptoms that decrease their ability to live independently, activities of daily living, instrumental activities. The mission is to provide a safe place not only for our veterans and first responders, but also extending to their families. We're transitioning from a clinic feel to a club feel, so that once you sign up for level 1, it does not include direct contact with horses, but it offers a dozen activities that families can enjoy, including a huge drive-in movie screen. We have holiday parties. We're going to have routine gatherings. And as we grow, there will be more activities added. Level 2 are for members who also get to enjoy level 1, but level 2 offers the equine-assisted therapy component. And it's generally it takes 16 to 32 weeks, 1 session a week, 3 hours long. And they work directly with the horse. And they're receiving therapy like cognitive restructuring, reframing, mindfulness stress reduction techniques, how to regulate themselves. And after 16 to 32 weeks, they start to improve. Our statistics are showing the efficacy rate. And so then they can transition back to club 1 level if they want, or they can stay at club 2. Then I teach them how to ride the horses after the therapy, after regulation is achieved. I teach them lessons and I put them on horses and they get to enjoy the Francis Marion National Forest through trail riding.
In 1982, it was East Cooper Magazine. Now it's Mount Pleasant Magazine. Mount Pleasant Magazine is about the people, places, and events that make Mount Pleasant a great place to live, work, and raise a family. Your community, your magazine. Mount Pleasant Magazine.
You're listening to the Mount Pleasant Podcast.
So, Sarah, you're dealing with people. A doctor might give somebody a shot, a pill to take care of that. But in this instance, as you're working with whether it's a first responder or a veteran with PTSD, it seems like you're almost taking them on a journey. And maybe the end of that journey is, I don't even know if the word normal is correct in this instance, but getting them back to where they were.
Correct. And our horses, for me, they're tools. Like a doctor's office has tools, like you said, shots and medical services. We provide cognitive reframing, cognitive restructuring. We use the horses as biofeedback tool. You must regulate yourself in order to be around a horse. And the horse picks up on body demeanor, heart rate, blood pressure, sweating, anxiety. And so what do you notice about your horse? What do you notice about yourself? It's a very safe place for transformative, practical, experiential care. And so the horses are really integral as a part of this evidence-based approach. And it's based on the nursing process. I am a registered nurse licensed to assess and diagnose the human response to trauma. And we use our horses instead of, couches. You come here, we do rapid assessments, I collect data, and then we go out into the pastures, we go out into the trails, and the horses provide constant feedback. It's a nice circuit loop where the veteran continues to learn about themselves, their thoughts, their feelings, and their actions.
So let me reemphasize, because you mentioned this about training, but I'm someone, say, who is interested, but I've never ridden a horse. I've never been around horses. That's not a detriment to starting this program.
Of course not. We have horses for any size, military, first responder, men or women. We also have 2 miniature horses if you are afraid of large horses, but I will provide the lessons, the training, and all the skills needed to be competent and feel safe around these horses. These are therapy horses. They don't watch paint on the wall. They do like and enjoy to be a horse. The veterans also and the first responders enjoy being in the lunge pen with a horse and learning how to join up. It's all about stimulating healthy connections, pressure, releasing and giving pressure, and being appropriately assertive and aggressive when necessary.
So we're talking about veterans, a family of a veteran themselves. If they want to get involved in the Hoofprints in the Sand program, what's the first step that they need to take?
If you go to our website, Hoofprints in the Sand /HITS Club, or just go to hoofprintsinthesand.org, you can find our club level page. And there you fill out a very simple membership application. It literally takes 5 minutes to fill out. We receive it, and my club manager, Zane, will reach out, accept the membership application, and get them right into the portal where they can see our live calendar of recreational therapeutic activities. And they can sign up for all the activities I just mentioned. And they also, the families are invited. And if they don't necessarily want to sign up for a calendar event, this property, 18 acres, becomes their home. They can come at their leisure and have picnics and be with their families and just be in nature and be mindful. And we provide all the skills and all the competency checklists and get everybody ready. So there's endless activities here at Hoofprints in the Sand.
It's truly a low-country nonprofit that's making a difference. You may not be aware of it, but we're trying to spread the word about Hoofprints in the Sand. We're talking today here where the pages of Mount Pleasant Magazine come alive in the Mount Pleasant podcast with me, Brian Cleary, with Sarah Lustig, who is not only the founder, but also the director of Hoofprints in the Sand. Sarah, as we go through the conversation, we've talked about PTSD and TBI. I think people think they know what PTSD is, maybe not so much TBI. What's the difference between the two?
PTSD occurs after there's mental trauma in war and combat, or even just having negative experiences while serving your country. You're mentally changed. These atrocities, these sights, these smells, bombs and explosives, it's hard to overcome that. You lose your friends don't come home. There's a lot of shame and guilt with survivor, guilt. And so these guys, when they come to this environment, this is a place of healing. And PTSD affects the mental aspect of trauma. Traumatic brain injury is more of a physical assault from explosives. Actually, the brain shaking in your head, where you actually get physically assaulted on your head and in your brain. And those symptoms often are what I listed earlier: fatigue, headache, dizziness, decreased motivation, decreased concentration. There's aggressiveness, there's behavior changes because of the pain they feel in their head from traumatic brain injury. And so this program targets both areas of the brain. For PTSD, the pleasure center of your brain is deactivated. We focus our therapy on that part of the brain that reactivates the pleasure center and then helps you restructure your thinking, your feeling, and your behaviors. Traumatic brain injury, PCS, post-concussion symptoms, we target that part of the brain to help learn how to live with those symptoms that might be acute and chronic and maybe exacerbated by just having so many irons in the fire, living life. And so I know how to help these individuals assess and diagnose their response. And we have a veteran member-centered approach to overcome and learn how to adapt with those symptoms.
Sarah, you're a registered nurse. I know you've spent a great portion of your life doing research and dealing with this. You've got a unique insight. I wonder if you can explain, if I break my arm, everybody sees I've got a cast on. Is the word frustrating? What word would you use to describe? Because with this kind of illness, you can look at someone and think, well, they look like there's nothing wrong. But inside, obviously, there is some challenges.
I'm so glad you asked that question. In our first gala, the theme was healing invisible wounds. You can't see traumatic brain injury unless there are scars and indentations or physical limitations. With PTSD, you can't see it. It's invisible, but not to the individual. These atrocities that they experience in the military while fighting for our rights, these memories become like tattoos on the brain. And so through therapy here, we target that reactivating of that pleasure. We can't erase what has happened, but we can help them adapt. And the tattoo starts to fade as their pleasure center reactivates. And then they learn how to rebuild, reconnect, have purpose again, have confidence. And they really leave this place with transformative care. And it's this naturalistic, experiential, practical experience through the horses that are non-judgmental, but they do pick up on dysregulation. And this is a safe place to realize and to become self-aware of how dysregulated you can be because of the symptoms that they face that are invisible to the public.
Like any nonprofit, funding is important. And I know you've had some funding challenges, but I did see where Congresswoman Nancy Mace came out to visit the farm. Have we made some progress in terms of maybe getting a little government help and increasing the funding for Hoofprints in the Sand?
Yes. So Nancy Mace has been extremely supportive of our mission and our vision of providing a safe haven outside of the first line, second line, third approaches that are traditionally provided at all the VA centers across America. We are the first of its kind on the East Coast to become credentialed by the Department of the VA, by the Community Care Network. We're working very hard to get Charleston in line with our culture and our methodologies so that animal-assisted therapy is a proven effective approach. So we are looking for donations and fundraising and stakeholders to help Nancy, but help us stay afloat, keep our veterans coming. Some can't afford it. But our ultimate goal with Nancy Mace and her district manager, Noah Longest, they are actually asking us to share information on a legislative bill that I've actually written and drafted up to formally recognize equine-assisted therapy as a new approach that's not been offered routinely. And I'm very excited about this. So I'm going to share that with her, and she's going to help me make this a known program, a known therapy approach, and make it an integral part of veteran care and delivery of service.
I have no idea how you could find the time to write legislation with everything else you got going on a daily basis, but kudos to you for that. So funding is obviously a big thing. We need donations. We need to help raise some money for Hoofprints in the Sand. What are some of the other needs that maybe somebody in the community can help you with?
So we're asking, every penny helps us. I mean, our entire staff, we have one administrative executive assistant who is on payroll, and everybody else are, and including me, we're volunteers. Zane, who is here on staff, he's here 24/7, and he keeps a watch on these horses. We need community support because veterans and first responders sometimes can't afford this therapy, and until we have this effective therapy approved by DOD and Charleston VA, our veterans can't afford it, and it's not being paid for by the VA at this moment. At least in Charleston. There are other contiguous states that are approving claims, but we really need support to help with the overhead, the horse care, and to help veterans afford this type of transformative care. We have the data and the statistics. We have the measured assessments. We have the data to prove that this is working for our veterans, and they are rebuilding their lives. And it's because of this natural healing environment. And it's this feedback and it's the connection with the horse that allows them to learn to reconnect with humans and their family members.
Just to focus on that for a second, because I know it's been a huge priority for you. This isn't just you saying, hey, I know it works. I've had some people come through, they're better now. You've really taken the time to focus on being able to present factual data that shows that equine therapy really makes a difference.
But we need extra community support because the veterans can afford right now 16 to up to 32 weeks. And that's 3-hour sessions once a week. What we need help with is if the community can sponsor a veteran to then stay through a year's worth of long-term oversight to make sure that the 16 to 32 weeks is actually effective at the 1-year mark, which proves to the science world that this is efficacious enough. And we're spinning off of a meta-analysis of research. They all align. And with their treatment is effective, but we haven't proven the efficacy rate. And we need extra support to help these veterans afford a year's worth of therapy so that we can actually publish, a white paper about this and have the statistics out there.
So Sarah, I want to sponsor a veteran for a year. How can I do that? What's the steps I need to take to help that veteran go through the Hoofprints in the Sand program?
You can send an email to our Club Hits manager at donations@sc.hits.org. The subject, would like to sponsor a veteran. That money is $250 a month, which equates to $20 an hour of therapy. That's 3 hours every week. And if they sponsor a veteran, what we'll do is we have a waiting list. We just throw all the names in a hat and we pull that name. And then we allow that community member to be involved as much as they'd like to see the objective measured assessments, to see the statistics, to actually see the veteran, meet them, and then watch them transform. So you can simply just email us, and we'd love to have our veterans sponsored.
The farm that you've been talking about is unbelievably gorgeous. And just being out there myself, automatically I relax in that atmosphere. Is it possible for somebody who's thinking about helping out to be able to see your facility?
Yes, so we would love any support. We have a volunteer page on our website. You can fill out a volunteer application and you can come and we will train you. We will get you competent in any skill that you'd like to be a part of with all of our activities to include horses. And the volunteers are the backbone of our nonprofit. We have 30 volunteers now. We have 6 different teams We have fundraising team, marketing, advertising, feed team, horse care, garden team. We have a flower shop, agriculture assistants. We have teams that help ride the horses and exercise them. We have a team where they help me with the therapeutic equine-assisted therapy.
You mentioned the fact that you've had galas in the past. Is there a date set yet? Maybe somebody wants to mark on their calendar for the 2026 gala?
Last year it was March 8th. It's maybe that date and maybe a month or two later. The past two galas, we've had some major windstorms right before the gala. And our gifts were scattered about. Some were in the pond. So we might be moving it, but it'll be the first quarter of 2026.
It'll be something for you to look forward to, and hopefully you'll attend this year's gala when it happens, and you'll hear about it on the Mount Pleasant podcast. Sarah Lustig is an amazing individual, a registered nurse who has not only founded, but is also now the director of Hoofprints in the Sand. Sarah, you've got to feel good about what you've done to this point. What about the future? Are you thinking that we're headed in the right direction in helping these veterans, first responders, and people with PTSD?
I really do. And I think with having Congress and representatives help us, DOD, they've been researching equine-assisted therapy as far back as 2016. We need to have donations and stakeholders to help. We would love to treat 350 veterans a year. Our vision is to eventually build a covered arena. We have a beautiful 200 by 100 foot sandy bottom hedge ring. We have multiple lunge pens. We have training courses. We have plenty of trail riding. We really do need partnerships to help this facility grow with our veterans, and so that we can make a huge impact. In South Carolina, in over 20 years, a veteran commits suicide every 3 days in South Carolina. That is a long-standing statistic, and we are trying to have the support we need to reverse those statistics with this new innovative approach. And nationally, in over 20 years, the statistics haven't changed per state. There's a power of healing just by being in the presence of a horse. They're prey animals. They're afraid of two things that move and things that don't move. You have to learn through practical experience how to regulate yourself to be connected with individuals in your life.
This is an opportunity for you to make a difference. The suicide number, it's really a scary number. How does that change with you helping an organization like Hoofprints in the Sand that is making a difference? Whether it's for Norma Jean, whether it's for Zane, or Sarah Lustig, who is their founder and director, please help out. Hoofprints in the Sand, it's here in our area doing amazing things, and we want that to continue. Sarah, thanks so much for your time today, and thanks so much for sharing Norma Jean with us as well.
Thank you so much for everybody's support. I appreciate you.
Do it. Support Hoofprints in the Sand, an amazing low-country nonprofit, and our subject today here as part of the Mount Pleasant podcast, where the pages of Mount Pleasant Magazine come alive with me, Brian Cleary. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for spending your time with the Mount Pleasant podcast, your community, your podcast. Listen to past and future episodes at mountpleasantpodcast.com.